Have you ever wondered how tennis became the massive global sport it is today? It's an incredible story, a journey that takes us from quiet monastery courtyards all the way to the biggest stadiums on Earth. It's a sport that literally traveled through centuries to become the powerhouse we all know and love. I mean, really think about it. How did we get from this, a pretty simple game played by French monks way back in the 12th century, where they were literally just using the palms of their hands, to this, a multi-billion-dollar global spectacle with superstars, massive prize money, and millions of people watching all over the world? It's a wild story, and honestly, it's probably way more fascinating than you think. So, to really get how we got here, we have to go back, way back. We're going to start at the very beginning, with the ancient ancestors of the game. Okay, so the earliest version of tennis we know of was called Jeu de Paume. Now, that's French for, you guessed it, game of the palm. And it was exactly what it sounds like. Just picture it. Monks in their monastery cloisters, hitting a ball over a net with nothing but their bare hands. That right there, that's the tiny seed that modern tennis grew from. But, a game this fun wasn't going to stay hidden in monasteries for long. Over a few hundred years, it started to change. It moved from the cloister to the royal court. By the 1500s, it was the favorite game of French and English royalty, which is how it got the nickname the Sport of Kings. And the tech got an upgrade too. Players went from using their bare hands to padded gloves, and then, this is huge, to the very first stringed rackets. This fancier, more complex indoor version came to be known as real tennis. And let me tell you, it was kind of weird. It was played on these strange asymmetrical courts where you could actually bounce the ball off the walls. It's a little quirky, for sure, but this is the direct ancestor of the game we all play today. But the biggest leap, the real game changer, came during the Victorian era. This is the moment when tennis finally broke out of those exclusive indoor courts and moved out onto the lawn. So what was the big deal? Well, it all boiled down to one key thing: accessibility. Real tennis was a game for the elite, right? You needed these expensive, specially built indoor courts. But lawn tennis, that was designed to be simple. It was played outdoors on a symmetrical court. It was the perfect game for the growing middle class, for people who suddenly had some free time and wanted something new to do. This literally changed everything. And you can pretty much pin this entire revolution down to a single crucial year: 1874. The man we all have to thank is Major Walter Clopton Wingfield. He patented his new game with the, let's be honest, kind of terrible Greek name Spheristike. Yeah. Thankfully, everyone just started calling it lawn tennis instead. And his genius move? He packaged the net, the rackets, and the balls into a portable box. He basically sold a social revolution in a box. So why did it just explode? Well, for three pretty simple reasons. 1, the kits were portable, you could set one up anywhere. 2, the rules were super easy to learn. But the biggest reason? It was a social catalyst. This was one of the very first sports where men and women could actually play and compete together. It became the perfect excuse for a Victorian garden party. But of course, it wasn't going to stay just a friendly little garden party game for long. You know how it is. Once people get competitive, things start to get serious. And I mean really serious. Just 3 years after Wingfield patented his game in a box, in 1877, the entire landscape changed again, because that was the year of the first ever Wimbledon Championships. And once Wimbledon set the stage, the other big ones fell into place like dominoes. The US Open started up in 1881, then the French in 91, and finally the Australian Open in 1905. And just like that, the 4 cornerstones of modern tennis, the Grand Slams, were born. And they're still the pinnacle of the sport today. So during this whole period, the game was really getting locked in. They ditched that quirky, hourglass-shaped court for the simple rectangle we know and love. The rules got standardized, and the foundations for a real global competitive tour started to take shape. But as the sport got bigger and bigger, a huge conflict started brewing under the surface. A battle that would really define tennis for decades. It was the amateurs versus the professionals. Okay, so you have to get your head around this because for decades, the system was totally split. On one side, you had the amateurs. These were the gentlemen who were supposedly playing just for the love of the game, and they were the only ones allowed to play in the big tournaments like Wimbledon. On the other side, you had the professionals, the players who actually earned a living from prize money. And they were banned, completely banned from the majors. And here's the totally absurd part. The best players in the world were often the pros, but they were locked out of the sport's most famous events. Fans weren't getting to see the best of the best play each other. The whole system just made no sense, and it was pretty clear it couldn't last forever. The breaking point finally came in 1968. This was the year the walls came tumbling down. The big tournaments finally opened their doors to everyone, amateurs and professionals. This was the dawn of what we now call the Open Era. And that one decision, it kicked off the modern game as we know it. We're talking about an absolute explosion of power, money, and global superstars that completely transformed tennis into what it is today. So what caused this massive boom? Well, it was like a perfect storm of three things. First, technology. Heavy wooden rackets were out and light, powerful graphite rackets were in. This totally changed the game, making it faster and way more powerful. Second, media. Global TV broadcasts turned players like Borg, McEnroe, the Williams sisters, and Federer into household names. And third, well, money. Huge sponsorships and massive prize funds turned tennis into a seriously lucrative career. And if you want to understand just how insane that financial change was, you only need to look at Wimbledon's prize money. Okay, so the winner of that very first tournament in 1877, he got about 12 guineas. Fast forward to 2023, the winner took home £2.35 million. I mean, come on, that transformation is just staggering. And so that's the journey. Tennis went from a quiet little pastime at a Victorian garden party all the way to a powerful, athletic, multi-billion-dollar global entertainment industry. What a ride. It's been an absolutely incredible evolution, but you know what? It's not over, not by a long shot. Now we've got AI making line calls, insane data analytics shaping strategy, and new markets opening up all over the world. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the next chapter for this ancient sport? What will the next evolution of tennis even look like?